Hey everybody, welcome to another summer reading craft. We're super excited to have you back for another week. We're now in July, which is always exciting. This time what we're going to do is make a no-sew t-shirt bag. So all you need is an old t-shirt, preferably one with a decal. This one's a little boring, it's just orange, but it's nice and big, so think of all the groceries you'll be able to carry in this. Yep. Obviously, depending on the size of the shirt, your bag may be big, small, medium, literally, okay? So really enjoy this, okay? This is a pretty easy and yet a little bit time consuming. It's gonna take 10-15 minutes total. One of the things I want to point out here is when I cut the sleeves off, I made sure to leave the seam. That's gonna reinforce the handles of the bag so you don't have to worry about them tearing, because with t-shirts, of course, you do sometimes have to worry about them tearing out. It shouldn't be a problem. I would say don't carry 7 watermelons in your bag, even if they all fit. Okay. Super simple. So find a shirt, preferably one that you can't wear anymore. Maybe it has a design on it, maybe it doesn't, maybe you want to put a design. You can always use the Cricut to cut out a pattern. You could mark on it with markers. You could tie-dye it. So many ways to decorate your bag. But we're just going to talk about structure today. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, now I have fabric shears. I'm going to save a life now, and that life might be yours. If you have a partner or family member who has fabric shears, and you know it's shears because the blades are more than 4 inches long, okay? So they're scissors if they're shorter, they're shears if they're bigger. That's your random fact for the day. If you have somebody in your family that you love that has fabric shears, do not ever use them to cut paper, okay? Don't do it. Life's gonna be sad for you. They're gonna come after you. Nobody's gonna be happy. Do not use their fabric shears to cut any paper. So for the ongoing crafts, no. These are just for fabric days. Okay. Now I'm gonna cut on the outside sleeve part and cut this sleeve off. Ooh, make sure there's nothing underneath. See how that wanted to go through the seam? So we're gonna readjust a little bit. Make sure I don't get that cut into that seam, and you can feel it under the fabric and say, okay, these guys are now lined up. Okay. And if you cut it a little bit, it's gonna be fine. This is one of those, it's definitely more an art than a science. Okay. And the fun thing is you could also come back later and make this into a little tiny pouch with maybe like a little flappy-do that comes down. Yeah, maybe do it like this and turn your sleeve into a smaller pouch and then give it a little snap or a button or something right there. It's going to be very small because you'd have to cut enough up here to make your fringe, but it is doable, and that's an option to use your scrap sleeves for. Okay. I should have put the camera on a chair to get enough height when we do our next t-shirt project, and yes, we have 2 t-shirt projects this summer. We're going to have the big mat, and we're going to use a roller. Now I got this roller cutter at the dollar store or $1.25 store. Do not, if you ever want to use one of these, okay, and we'll go ahead and I'll show you. One, always do it on a mat. Do not do it on a table, and cutting board at the very least. Do not touch the blade. If you touch the blade, you will bleed. So again, we've got a couple safety things today. 1, don't use fabric scissors on paper. And 2, no matter how tempting it is, don't touch the blade once it's open, okay? This guy will cut very quickly, and if you press down hard enough, it should get through it all, mostly in one go. We're gonna need this later because we're gonna be cutting our next t-shirt project into strips, and this is gonna make that a lot easier. Okay. Then we have the collar. Now, obviously, if you want to put those 7 watermelons in your bag, You don't want to have to do it one at a time with your collars. So what I'm going to do, and you can mark this with a pen, magic marker, pencil, chalk, whatever. You can make this come all the way down here and have super long handles. Okay, it's going to look more like a bag and less like a t-shirt if you do that. So this is your aesthetic, whichever you like. I personally am not that concerned about it. Okay, so I'm going to cut, I'm going to leave 2 to 3 inches on this side and 2 to 3 inches on this side. And what I want to do is cut down around the collar. I want my bag to have really tall sides so I can hold those 7 watermelons. Except not really because I'm a weakling, but that is okay. So I'm going to cut. And I'm coming over. Is it perfect? No. Am I concernicus? Not even a little bit. There, that hem didn't want to be cut through, but now we've got a shirt. If you want to have a dickie, that's what a dickie is. All right, so now I've got the top part, but things are going to fall out, the bottom's open. I know we did this craft a couple years ago, and it was a lot of fun then. And that's part of why we're doing it again. Plus, this is a good way to use old t-shirts. And can you imagine how cute this would be if you used like your favorite baby t-shirt and made just a little bag to carry the baby stuff in? It would be super adorable. Okay. Now, when it comes to cutting the bottom, one, I'm going to make sure my top and bottom are lined up with each other. Okay, I'm going to get them as square as possible. If you have a side seam on your shirt, which this one does not, thank goodness for that, because I'll tell you, I don't like shirts with side seams. Tactily, they're not nice. For me, other people don't have that problem, and that's awesome. All right. We're going to start cutting on one end, and we're going to work our way to the other end. I'm going to cut this first one. I'm going to cut up from the hem to about 2 to 3 inches. Now, this first guy, I'm also going to cut carefully. Up the side. Because I want to have 2 things that I'm going to tie together. Then I'm going to cut about a finger's width. You don't want it to be too wide because it makes it harder to tie the knots. You could also mark with a pencil or pen exactly how high up you want to go. Again, I'm not fancy. I just want a bag that works. Okay? So you're going to cut the whole fringe all along the bottom. I won't make you watch me cut the whole thing. I'll just cut a couple more. Okay? And again, you may have to rearrange your fabric as you go. Once you get that done, super simple. Again, time consuming, but super simple. Take these 2 guys. Tie them in a knot. So do a loopy loop, pull it tight. Now, if you want to have a big fringe at the bottom of your shirt, obviously cut further up. This is all on you. It's all about preferences. And pull it tight. Don't carry sand in this bag. That would not make sense. But again, if you want to carry some groceries, when you go to tie your knots, be sure your first knot or the one next to it doesn't get sucked in. That tried to suck it in. And these are basically just granny knots or square knots, whatever you want to call them. And you're going to tie them all the way across the bottom. And that's it, guys. It is quick, easy, and now you're ready to go and get all the groceries in the world with your very sturdy t-shirt bag. Okay, remember, fabric shears are only for fabric and not for paper. And no matter how tempting it is, do not touch that blade with your finger. Okay, it has a safety thing on it. Don't do this. Very bad. Keep your blood inside your body. That's where it belongs. All right, everybody, have a good week. We'll see you next week with a cute little lantern. And have a good one.